Hey everyone, I hope you all are having an amazing Sunday. It is your girl Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration, and I am here with a God inspired message, a message that ironically it came to me yesterday. And I had a conversation with someone this morning about this particular topic. So today we're going to talk about faith. And the person asked me, like, how do you have so much faith? And so it led me to realize, like, because of what I heard yesterday and just conversations that I have been observing on social media, I really felt like it's time to like really continue to have these conversations. I have had these talks before in the past about faith and just really want us to start deep diving into it a little bit more. So this is not going to be a one-time only video. It probably will be multiple parts, and I will try to keep it to under 30 minutes because I understand I value your time. But as always, I always say, if God takes us further, I'm just going to allow him to have his way. So as always, Lord, have your way. Lead this message to the people that needs it. And for those of you that are watching, whether you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, share it. Share it. Someone out there might need this message. And if you are following me on YouTube, please go ahead and subscribe and put your notifications on so you'll be notified every time that I go live or I put up any new content on that page. For those of you that are on Facebook, like it, share it with someone, share it on your page. I definitely would appreciate it. Someone out there needs to know what faith is and how we can start to build our faith. Now, I was not raised personally like in the church. I wasn't raised with a really huge Christian background. My relationship with God really started back in 2012. And it got progressively stronger in like 2014 when I really can say like I started to hear God. Prior to that, I believed in God, I believed in Jesus. I knew the Bible. I always had a Bible, but I didn't really walk with God. I didn't understand what that actually meant. I hear people talk about, I heard people talk about it, but it wasn't something that really made sense to me because it was not conversations that was happening in my immediate circle. So as I continued to build this relationship with God, it really forced me to get into a space of saying, like, what does a relationship look like? And I remember hearing someone talk about this. I can't remember who it was, but they were just saying like the best relationship that they've ever had was the relationship that they had with God. And I was just like, that's so profound. But we don't realize that is actually the best thing because when we have a relationship with God, it is going to lead us down a path that is going to, one, protect you. It is going to put you in the places and spaces that you actually belong in. But it is going to put you in a lifestyle that is going to force you to realize that a lot of the things that you were raised with, a lot of the traditions that you have been and pretty much put in your life within is no longer going to be. Like you truly going to have to turn a lot of things around. This is the reason why Romans 12:2 is one of those scriptures that really resonates with me because we really do have to transform our minds. We have to get away from everything that we were taught, the things that people told us, the things that we were taught in school, and even for some of you, the things that you were taught in church. Because when you realize a lot of the things of the world has been unfortunately seeping into Christianity, into churches. And so it does not really align with what God is saying. But you have to realize, like, to get to that relationship is saying, I got to like clear away everything that I was ever taught so that I can hear what God is instructing me to do. So the one thing that I said to this person this morning, the one thing God had to work with me, and he had to untrain my mind, and this is still a challenge, was the logic. I'm a very logical person. Like logically speaking, I should not be doing the things that I am doing because logically it does not make sense. However, if God is telling me to do this, I got to trust it. So when I really started that walk with God, and I'm talking about 2016, 2017, that's when it was difficult. It was really challenging because at that point, I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the job. Like, I was really trying to step back into the logical world because what God was telling me and He was pushing me towards, it didn't make sense to me because it was not yielding the results that society will say that you are successful. Society will say that you're on the right path. I did not feel that way. So I really was in my house sometimes warring with God because I'm like, Lord, you said that I was going to be abundant. You said that I'm going to be blessed. You said that I'm going to be okay. And I didn't feel okay. I didn't look okay. I didn't believe that I was okay. So I had to really deal with pushing away my logical mindset so that I can step into the promises of God. And I had to understand that just because the promises were not coming at the speed that I wanted, it wasn't coming the way that I desired, that I was still blessed. See, we had to learn, and I had to learn, and many of you have to learn, blessings is not always coming in the form of a dollar bill. I'm going to say that again. Blessings are not always coming in the form of a dollar bill. So many people truly do believe that the root of happiness is going to be how much money you make. We know that is actually false because we know millionaires that are killing themselves. We know that people who have everything in the world, they got all the cars, they got all the houses, they got the body, they got the money, the bank account, the assets, they have all of these things, and they're still miserable and depressed. So we already know it is a proven fact. Many people will tell you, I would rather have the love and the peace, and I would rather have the friends and the family than being isolated and having millions of dollars. And I understand it's easier for them to say that because they have it. But some of you have to realize, and we're going to talk about this another day, about finding happy with what you have. But that's another day, another problem. So let's go back to understanding, like really debunking the whole logical mindset that I had to go through. I'm going to give you a perfect example, real life example of what happened to me in 2016. So I am an educator. Professionally, I'm an educator. I have been educating since 2010. And one of the courses that I normally teach is called career development. So that's really encompass resume writing, interviewing skills, job search skills, things of that nature. And there used to be something I would tell my students, and I actually stopped telling them because of this experience. So I used to tell my students prior to 2016, like if you are applying for a job and you come across a position that has been posted for like a month, there's like because they every job board will most likely tell you updated or posted on this particular date. If it is a job that you really might not be interested in, don't apply for it. But you can still take a chance. You can take a risk and apply for the job. You just never know. But 9 times out of 10, I really want to focus on those positions because it's been posted for like a month. And in my logical mind, sometimes recruiters will forget to take down job postings. I used to work in HR. I know this for a fact. We would continue to pay Indeed a monthly fee because they do pay. That's how they make money in Indeed. They make money from job postings. So Indeed was still billing us, and we had all these old job positions, like 10 positions posted from September, and it is February, and we still got the old job postings. So to me, people were not applying in January for those positions because they saw that they were posted in September. It just didn't make sense. So I would tell my students, don't really apply for those positions because 9 times out of 10, somebody just really forgot, and they're most likely not going to respond to your inquiry, right? So this is something that I told my students. And I remember, because I was looking for a job, like, all right, God, look, I'm trying to do what you're calling me to do. It's not paying the bills. It's not paying enough of the bills. I need more. I need to make sure I can pay at least the minimum of everything that I have in my household. God, I'm gonna go get a job. Cool, go get a job. I kept seeing this one job position. And when I say to you, this position was posted over a month ago. So I'm sitting here like, I'm not going to apply. And I kept hearing apply. I mean, it will press. I feel when a lot of times, like when the Holy Spirit is speaking to me, I feel it in my gut. I'm one of those people that truly I have to trust my gut. When my gut is telling me, don't do that, or yeah, we need you to do that. So I'm up here. I mean, I felt it was like the Holy Spirit was just punching me in my stomach. And I was just like, why? Like, it's been posted for over a month. Logical Tanisha is having this whole conversation in Starbucks talking to God, like, but that doesn't make sense, God. It doesn't make sense. It's been posted for over a month. They already hired somebody. Ignored it. Continue. Seen it again. I heard again. Applied. God, this doesn't make sense. What are you talking about? Apply for this job. They're not going to call me back. Again. So now by the time I actually apply, the job posting has probably been about like 7 weeks now. So I'm delaying this process even longer. Fine, God. I just surrendered. You know what? Go ahead. I'm going to apply for the job. I apply for the job. I don't even think I made it back home before the people called me. Like, my phone rung. I'm like, who's this calling me? It was them. That same company. So I'm like, ain't no way. But that's what God will do, because he's like, trust me. Have faith that I'm gonna provide for you. You're gonna be good, right? So literally, I'm setting up an interview with these people, right? Now, like I said, I've been looking for a job. So this was at the beginning of the fall. So we're talking about September, October. It was like September. Literally all summer, I'm like applying, and no one is calling me back. Now I get calls from other places, right? So this is how God always is also going to step in and make sure, like, are you going to listen to me? Because I got to throw in the monkey wrench to make sure you are doing what I am calling you to do and take the steps that I'm calling you to take. So I remember it was a 2-day interview. The first day I went, conversations was great until they got to the pay. And I was like, what? They was paying $20 an hour. Ego, Tanisha. So now logic and ego will really kill us in our walk of faith. So now ego, Tanisha, was like, when I started teaching in 2010, in my 20s, I was making $25 an hour. And this was how many years ago? Oh no. So now the ego's coming in. And I still remember God saying, stop. Don't even think that way. So now I have a college calling me. They were willing to pay me $45 an hour. And I think it was probably like 9 hours a week. And then there was another place at the time, they were contemplating a full-time person, but for the meantime, they needed someone who could just do, who could substitute for like 2 weeks. And I knew the supervisor there, and the person that I was covering for 2 weeks was actually an old colleague of mine. She was going away on vacation and she needed someone. So I'm really like, God, I'm going over there because they're paying, more market, more market value. I already know the supervisor and I know the professor, I know the instructor. That's where I'm going. God was like, you're still going to deal with these people over here too. So you can entertain these people for the 2 weeks of substituting, because that's going to bring in some income. But I need you to continue to put your focus over here. So the first day I go, they say, can you come back the next day? We want you to kind of see how the classroom environment goes. We want to see how you engage with the participants. Come back the next day. The next day was a Friday morning. I woke up to an alert from my bank that stated that my mortgage company attempted to take a second payment for the month. What? In all the years that I have had this apartment and I have had this co-op, I've never had my mortgage company ever attempt to take 2 payments out in a month. So I'm on the phone. I'm trying to call the mortgage company. They're like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. the money is not going to be reversed until 24 to 48 hours, most likely until Monday. So we're talking about Friday. And so whatever few dollars that I did have in that account, I did not have access to anymore. And I remember that morning, one of my good friends, she called me, and she called me to tell me something totally different. And I'm just like, in my mind, I'm trying to listen to what she's saying, but I'm focused on how am I going to get to these people's job to do this second interview. God, you told me to apply for this job. So how can you tell me to apply for this job? And then you set me up to the point where I cannot go on the second day, Lord. What are you doing to me? This is all that I'm internally having a conversation with. So after my friend finished telling me what she had to tell me, she asked me, are you okay? And typically, I don't tell anyone my problems. No one would ever know. A lot of y'all didn't even know in 2016, 2017 that I was going through, that I was broke and disgusted. I almost lost my place. None of y'all knew that because I don't tell my business. Not in that comparison. I will tell y'all all the other testimonies, but that I was not telling. So I said, I broke and I told her. She was like, do you have money to get to the interview? And as always, I had exactly $2.75. How much did the subway cost in 2016? $2.75. I had just enough money to get there. Now, the other thing that that God had to work with me was we were raised. You don't go outside if you don't have any money. You do not go outside if you don't have enough money to get back home, right? Those are principles that we were raised on. So I now had this principle that I was raised on, and I'm hearing God telling me you're going. And I got someone who's like, well, just go and I'll PayPal you a couple of dollars, so just go get the job, Tanisha. And I'm just sitting here like, but I don't ever leave my house unless I have enough money to get back home. That's all that I kept saying to myself. So God said, you're going. So I got God in my ear. I got my friend in my physical human ear. And I'm just like, well, that doesn't make sense. Because logically, you know what I'm saying? This is where God is going to, some of y'all, that is where you're going to have to be tested. Forget about, building your faith. Your faith is going to come when you reduce and you throw away the logic. So I literally remember that morning, because I'm dressed and now I'm sitting here stalking my phone. Oh, and to make matters even more contradictory, my phone was off. But because I'm an iPhone user and I had Wi-Fi in the house, that's how my friend was able to call me, because she also had an iPhone. So I'm stalking my phone, like, where's the PayPal? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even gonna hit somebody up and be like, so you gonna send that money? Like, I'm not doing that. You said that you was gonna do it. I don't know if you really are. I can't trust it. God, look, leave me alone. Like, I'm not going. And then God said, I need you to go on Facebook Live. And I need you to release this message. I know you're not playing with me, Lord. You can't be serious. So now I'm dealing with my own financial crisis. I have literally $2.75 to my name. I have to go to this interview that you told me to apply for. And now you want me to go out here and inspire people? So can I go on Facebook Live and tell them that I need money, and maybe somebody will cash at me or they will PayPal me some money? God was like, no, you're going to go and you're going to put this message out. This message. And I'm like, guys, when I say to you, you're going to look crazy. If you are around other people and you are having these kind of conversations with God, it's not disrespectful. God understands. He knows that you are going to have to travel through many emotions, many mindset shifts in order for you to get to that place where you can stand with him and be like, yeah, God got me. So it's not bad. Like, it's not like, please don't have anyone make you believe like, well, you can't talk to God that way. Look, I was never disrespectful, but I definitely I had some questions. God, I have questions. Why do I need to go on Facebook right now and inspire people when I'm dealing with this crisis? And God said, because I am going to handle it. Man, I was upset. Y'all. But I went on Facebook and I released that message. I can't tell you what I said. To me, it probably was not a profound message, but guess what? I did it. I was obedient. So your obedience is also going to have to play a factor in this faith walk. Your obedience. You're going to do exactly what God tells you to do, even when you don't want to. You got to do it. Crazy, right? So I go and I just say, you know what, God, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to go to this energy. I'm going to take this last $2.75 that I have, and I'm going to go to these people's jobs, and I'm going to see what happens. So I go there, and I mean, I got to have the poker face now, because all I'm thinking about is, is she going to send me the money? And like I said, my phone was off. So once I'm not on Wi-Fi, I can't communicate with anyone. So my phone is off, and I'm just sitting here, smiling. I'm helping the participants, and I'm just like trying to be all positive, Miss Inspiration. And Miss Inspiration is having a breakdown internally. And God said, bless her. I got the job. Okay. And I'm trying to be excited, because I'm still not excited about the $20 an hour. But I'm like, all right, God, thanks. I got something is better than nothing, right? I could pay some of the bills versus paying none of the bills, right? So that's the mindset also that I had to embody. So I said, all right. So I go to Starbucks, because now I have no money. I'm broke at this point. In my mind, I'm broke. I go to Starbucks, hook up to the Wi-Fi. Literally, now I'm getting all these notifications, everything. PayPal, $200. I was looking for like $20. So my friend sent me $200. She blessed me with $200 when I really needed $5. She sent me more. So now I was able to turn my phone back on. I was able to give me a Metro card, because I'm starting my new job on Monday. And just to give me a little bit of extra, remember that little substitute position that came through. So now I had 2 jobs. One was only for 2 weeks, but that was fine. That was going to be extra money that I can now put towards paying the bills that I needed to pay. And then I had a friend who had a daughter who, at the same time, she had a crisis in her life. And because the timings worked out, I was able to help her. And she was also paying me to do that. So, it wasn't what I was accustomed to making. But every week, my bills was getting paid. I still was behind, but I was catching up. And I always tell people that story, because I want y'all to understand it's not always going to make sense. When you're walking with God, it's not going to make sense. You're going to end up having to take jobs that's not going to make sense. You're going to have to move in spaces that's not going to make sense. You are going to have to debunk every logical principle that you have ever embodied. And you're going to have to throw it away, because it's not going to make sense. Because you cannot be logical in walking with God. God does not operate in logic. God is going to operate in signs and miracles and wonders. He is going to show up in spaces, and he's just going to do his thing. And you're going to be like, God, how did this even happen? What? Hold on. I wasn't expecting this. Like I said, I'm expecting $5 or $10, maybe $20. And this person sold $200 into my account. And when I say to you, this is the reason why I love when God do things, because when I tell that same friend this story, when I share with her, like, girl, I remember when you did this, she be like, what? I did that? I don't even remember that. He will use people that have a pure heart for him to show up in your life. And when it's a pure heart, they forget what they've done. They will forget what they have done, because it wasn't something that they was keeping count of. They're not keeping count of what they have done. They're fully acting out of their own level of faith, because they're like, God's telling me to do this. She didn't know. She knew the situation. She couldn't give me the whole amount for the mortgage, because honestly, there was no amount for the mortgage. They just took more of my money that I already paid them for the month. And the money came back. So the couple of dollars that I had in my checking account that Monday, I was able to access, it was like $50, guys. It wasn't nothing major, but it was $50 that I had And then now I have my PayPal card, and that PayPal, I have money on that account too. But this was all out of faith, taking the steps of God contradicted my own principles that I was teaching my students. And so now I tell my students, if God is telling you to apply for that job and it is not, it's been posted for months and shoot, even for a year, baby girl, sir, please go apply. Because if that's where God needs for you to go, there's going to be a lesson or blessing there for you. Whether you're going to go there to bless someone or there's going to be a lesson for you, something is going to happen. But this is how we start to move in faith, because we have to reduce ourselves. We have to reduce our logic. We have to reduce our common sense, and we have to retrain our minds. This is why I want y'all to go to Romans 12:2. And let that be the scripture for the week for you, because we have to renew our minds and not renew our minds to what our pastors say. Again, I'm not going against what anyone's pastor is telling you, but I want you to do what God is telling you to do. And when you start to do that, it's gonna start to look. You might look at people and being like, "Well, because in this season, God needs you to do whatever it is that He needs you to do. He needs you to do it the way He needs you to do it. It's not gonna make sense." So I hope that this is one part, because these are multiple lessons. These are things that I have personally have gone through, and it's a challenge. But I really feel like God needed me to share this message with y'all to let y'all know a lot of you are really operating out of the principles that were instilled upon you by your family, your relatives, your church, society. You really are following those principles. You're doing a lot of the things that sounds right or looks good because, on my resume, this is going to look amazing. God is like, if you're fully going to trust me, you got to fully trust me. I'm going to say that again. If you're fully going to trust me, you got to trust me. That's how God operates. So you have to understand that a lot of the things that you believe is not what God wants. It's really not. You're going to start realizing, like, man, a lot of the stuff that God is telling me is going against what my family has been telling me for years. Yeah, it's that happens a lot. That happens quite often. That's going to happen quite often. And I will share more of that in the next part. So again, if you want to sow into this message, by all means, you may do so. You can do it through Cash App or through PayPal. It's scrolling at the bottom. But as always, I want you to go to God and ask God, what am I supposed to be doing? What is my life supposed to look like? We're going to talk about that in part 2. What does my life supposed to look like? This is the reason why you never hear me talk about doing vision boards, right? Because I want God's vision. See, we can manipulate our vision board to look like what we want. There's people out here, and this is just a preview. Some of y'all are just praying for a studio apartment, and God wants to give you a 5-bedroom house. Because your vision is saying, I just want to move out my parents' house and get my own place. But God's vision is like, I want it to be like this. Those are realities. So we really got to start asking God before we start making any plans for the new year. God, what do you want my new year to look like? What do you want my calendar new year? Because I call it this way. Your new year can start any day that you decide to walk with God. I'm going to say that again. Your new year can technically start any day that you decide to walk with God. That is when your new year can tap in. I'm going to leave that right there. That had to bless somebody. I hope that blessed you. Because I want you to get to that space again where you just start believing God, like, God, I want what you want. And that's how we should want our lives to be. So I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. Like I said again, if you do want to sew into this message, you can Cash App Tanisha Shanae number 25, or you can go to PayPal Heal Thy Body 4, and you can sew into this message. If not, be well, be blessed. But stay tuned, stay tapped in, share this message, and let's continue to teach and learn with one another. I am your girl. Have a great day and have a